YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. Surprisingly, the 49ers have opened up as 2.5-point favorites over the Philadelphia Eagles, but at the same time, it's not surprising. So first off, obviously, the reasons as to why it is surprising to me and probably some other people out there, the Eagles have the best record in the NFL. They're the best team in the NFL. I think they're widely regarded as the best team in the NFL. I don't specifically think they are the best team in the NFL because I think that's San Francisco through in and through out, of course. But let's be honest, they have the best record in the NFL. If you have the best record in the NFL, you're regarded as the best team in the NFL. So that's number one, of course. And then you get into, what transpired last time these two teams played. The Eagles put a whooping on the 49ers. Clearly, the 49ers didn't have a quarterback, and that game would have been decided by probably less than 5 points if Brock Purdy was playing. And I personally think the 49ers would have won, but that's just me. So, obviously, the Eagles beat them last time. They played each other. And then when you look at the Eagles, they obviously went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they lost, but they were the reigning, defending NFC champions. And not only that, but you look at the last, 2-3 games that the Eagles have played, and they've been, against pretty good opponents. The Chiefs, the Bills. I can't remember who else they played. Chiefs, Bills, Cowboys. And, the Niners beat the Cowboys by 32, and I think the Cowboys are frauds, and I think they'll eventually show that when they get into the postseason. I think everybody kind of feels like San Francisco or Philly are going to be the two teams to come out of the NFC, without a doubt. I'm sure Philly fans could probably agree on that as well. But you look at, the past 3 games, Cowboys are always going to be a tough game for Philly. It's in, it's a divisional game. Dak's now 8-4 against the Eagles, I believe. So Dak really, in all reality, I know that's a pretty meaningless record against the Philadelphia Eagles, but I think all in all, those are some of the main reasons why you look at, the Eagles, or I guess you look at this line with San Francisco favored by 2.5, and I guess in a way you're kind of surprised. And not only that, but it is in Philly as well. It's not like it's in San Francisco, it is in Philadelphia, and that's a very tough place to play. So, those are some of the reasons why I guess it would come off as surprising. But one of the main reasons why it's really not surprising is the 49ers have beat better teams more convincingly than the Eagles have. The Eagles' last 4 games, they've played the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Bills. And all of those games have been decided by less than 7 points, or 7 points or less. And one of those games is the Commanders, and they only beat the Commanders by 7 points. Now, more power to the Eagles. That's a divisional game. Divisional games are always going to be tough. If there's anybody in the NFL that know the Eagles more, it's, the Commanders and the Cowboys. I'm not going to say the Giants because, the Giants are just bad. But really, in all reality, you can throw them in there too because, they're the ones that have to meet Philadelphia more than once a year. So those 4 teams, of course, those games are always going to be competitive because it's divisional games. San Francisco against Seattle is typically competitive for the most part. It has been over the past couple of years. Now, I would say, obviously the Thanksgiving game, that was a pretty big, convincing win for the 49ers. And then in the divisional round playoffs last year when the Niners beat the Seahawks pretty convincingly. But up until halftime, that game was pretty close. Actually, at halftime, the game was close. And then in the second half, it kind of, the 49ers kind of got into a rhythm and the rest was history. But so that's number one. The 49ers have simply beat more convincing. They beat better teams convincingly, than the Eagles have. Not only that, but you look at the NFC Championship, the Eagles really only beat the 49ers as bad as they did because Brock Purdy wasn't playing quarterback. It's not even that. The 49ers simply didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball. Josh Johnson obviously was injured. Brock Purdy was injured, couldn't throw the ball. We were running the ball the entire second half pretty much. So that was really the only reason the Eagles beat the 49ers so convincingly. If Brock Purdy would have played, that game would have been much more closer. I think the 49ers would have won, of course, But at the same time, I'm not saying that's a lock because Eagles have a very good football team. So, again, I mean, the game would have been much more closer if Brock Purdy plays. I think the 49ers win, of course, but, that's not a guarantee because it's the NFL and anything can happen. So that's another reason why, in a way it's not surprising that the 49ers, are favorites. And then moving on to like the third, the 49ers are coming off of 10 days rest. So they've had much more preparation to prepare for this game than Philly has. Philly's obviously coming off of a hard-fought overtime win against Buffalo last week. San Francisco coming off of a very convincing win, dominant performance against the Seahawks on Thanksgiving. There's... It's easy to say that the 49ers go into this game as favorites. But to be completely honest, I also think, to me, in a way, it's more surprising that they are going in there as favorites opposed to them, or I guess it's more surprising to me that they're going into Philly as favorites opposed to them going into Philly as underdogs. I just think Philly's got the best record in the NFL. And again, this is a game in which I think the 49ers will win, but opposed to the line of the game, that's obviously completely different. Like, I definitely think this game should probably be Philly -2. And I may just be saying that because I want to take the Niners at plus odds. But, at the end of the day, this game is clearly going to be tight. It's going to be one hell of a game, hence to why the line is only 2.5. And it's obviously unlikely that the line will inflate in either direction. Like, I would imagine this line stays at 2.5 for the remainder of the week up until the game. Of course, it could always go, in Philly's favor -2.5. It could stay in San Francisco's favor at 2.5. Who knows? But again, I mean, the 10 days rest thing for the 49ers after the Eagles are coming off of a hard-fought overtime win, a physical game, that's very big. I mean, the 49ers are coming off of a physical game, a tough game against the Seahawks as well, but they beat them pretty convincingly. And what I mean by, hard-fought, tough game is simply, like, I don't know if you guys seen the stuff with Christian McCaffrey getting, like, his bruises on his arm after the game, but, any NFL game is going to be very physical. It's going to be gritty, half the time, if a team can match your physicality. But, I mean, you look at Christian McCaffrey, for one. The guy absolutely went off Thursday night. So, of course, he's going to be bruised up and things of that nature. And that stuff doesn't faze McCaffrey either. McCaffrey has been getting beat up since he's been in Carolina and since he's came into the NFL. So, I mean, Christian McCaffrey's going to handle that completely fine. There's nothing to worry there about him. But, Seattle's always a tough divisional opponent. Those games are always, physical. There's always hard hits in those games, so they're coming off of a physical game as well, but the Niners simply whooped ass, Thursday. So, again, I mean, it's not surprising that the Niners are favored, but I think it's more surprising that they are favored than it is not surprising. Again, I mean, Philly's got the best record in the NFL. We're going into Philly. They've beat us once already. Granted, of course, not without a quarterback that couldn't throw the football, but, at the end of the day, it's a line. I think what we can kind of take away from this line being what it is clearly the game's going to be close. A 2.5 line, that calls for a nitty-gritty game. I would be absolutely shocked out of my mind if this game was a blowout by either team. So, I think Vegas is expecting a close one. Whether it's Eagles -2.5, San Francisco -2.5, what we do know about this game is it's going to be close. It's going to be nitty-gritty. It's going to be a physical game. If there's any team in the NFL that I think matches San Francisco's physicality, it's definitely the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the game of the year, man. Like, this is the game that every Niners fan, every Niners player was circling on their calendar before the season started. A rematch. San Francisco is trying to get vengeance. Eagles want to prove to San Francisco that they're the more superior team and that they would have they would have beat the 49ers no matter if they had a quarterback or not. So there's a lot at stake for this game, and I've said this all week, and I'll say it again. The 49ers have more to play for in this game than the Philadelphia Eagles do. If the Eagles lose, they're still 1 seed in the NFC. Clearly, I definitely think the Eagles will at least lose 2 more games, which would mean if San Francisco can win out, Philly and San Francisco would have the same record, and the number 1 seed in the NFC would be decided on that Week 13 matchup, or on this upcoming Week 13 matchup between the Eagles and Niners. So obviously a lot at stake for both teams. But as of now, the 49ers are favored at -2.5 going into Philly. Shocking, could be, maybe not. You guys take that how you want it.